Okay, it's round 3. We've won the dice roll, and we have another 3-lander. But with 2 Fire Blasts, it's not so much of a disaster since we're quite either likely to be able to double Fire Blast him or, we'll draw relevant spells. And we have a reasonable opener. We can attack for 3, then play War Marshal, and then pay Echo if we don't draw much. So we'll keep it. I think ideally one of these and one of these, they would both be just random goblins, but what can you do? So this hand will be bad if they lead with, Firebolt. And Swift Water Cliffs could be a couple of things. Could be Drakes. Could be Izzet Stuffs. So there's the question whether they are Drakes or Kiln Fiends. Because if they're Kiln Fiends, I'd much rather play Sparksmith. And if they're Drakes, I'd much rather play War Marshal. I think I'm just going to play Sparksmith since I still kind of want to play Echo in this, so I can play it next turn and then pay Echo the turn after. Whereas if I pay this, then play Echo, I can't play Sparksmith the turn after either. So here we go. I think there is, in my experience, more of the Kiln Fiend decks than the Drake decks. The Drake decks are better, but there are generally more of the Kiln Fiend decks. Flame Slash on Sparksmith? Okay, so this does seem like their Drake deck. And we missed a couple of points of damage to make the sequence. That's not the worst. Man, imagine if these Fire Blasts were like Molten Rain. It'd be so much damage. So much. And by so much damage, I mean, this one Foundry Sheet Denizen would be getting in for quite a long time to come. So the whole plan here is just to get in as much damage as possible. It's very unlikely that they're going to have Electric Ray game 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and give this. I'll just make sure I'm not misclicking. So target creature here. Sacrifice this goblin. Yeah, get as much damage in as possible. Get them to 8. And double Fire Blast them out whenever they are tapped out for something. I mean, even Electric Ray is not the absolute worst since we can save both of these creatures with Mogg Raider, but if they did have it main deck, they also have Flame Slashes, so they could start with Raider, then wipe us out. Hopefully they're just gonna kill one thing and they'll take another few damage this turn. So we're not too far away. I've played against Drake a couple of times. Definitely feels quite bad if they, make their deck appropriately defensive. The only way that it always feels like an uphill struggle, because sometimes they leave in too many cards that don't interact with the goblins. Well, we officially have 4 lands, and I could resolve both Fire Blasts right now, but I don't think that's a great idea. Especially when that happens. This looks good though, because I'm going to attack with these creatures. They're going to block Mogg Raider. I'll sacrifice Mogg Raider to pump the other one. They'll take 3, go to 8, and then they'll die. Seems decent. And even now, even if I misclick, I can finish them off with Death Spark. But yeah, Seagate Oracle is actually a pretty nightmarish card for our deck to fight against. Now they don't actually have like Daze ability, but I always just tap my mana just in case there's something I'm sort of forgetting. And we do get to Death Spark them if they somehow have something, but I mean they don't. We know what the options are in Pauper. So yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, it's game 1, double Fire Blast, sweet. But now they're going to be bringing in all these Hydro Blasts, Dispels, that sort of thing. So Fire Blasts get a lot worse. Death Sparks. So they are playing an attrition game against us, but I'd like them a bit less against this sort of deck since we're going to be boarding in like some Molten Rains and some like Pyroblast and that sort of thing. I can see these coming back in. I think it's quite funny that this is the deck sorted by converted mana cost. So Sparksmith doesn't seem like it should be that great, but it's a sort of a must kill for them. Otherwise it can, clear away any number of Seagate Oracles and that sort of thing. Lightning Bolts are actually like one of the lowest impact cards we can have. Whereas Molten Rains are pretty good. And Pyroblasts they don't deal damage, which is a real downside, but on the other hand, they are just amazing sometimes. So we have these like 2 Lightning Bolts left over. So the question is whether these are better to have in our deck than like Miser Fire Blasts or the Death Sparks, if you think we're going that route. I think they are, since they do get us past Seagate Oracles, even though it's, we're down a card and all that sort of thing. And sort of they're never awful. Whereas sometimes like Death Spark and Fire Blast can be real letdowns. So we'll go with this. This is the Goblin Life, keeping 1-landers all day and all night. Let's say this has potential. Like basically every 1-lander that you keep with any of the Pauper red decks, if you draw a second land, they're almost always just fantastic hands. And if you don't, then at least you can grind surprisingly well, considering, the deck that we're playing. Leading with Foundry Street is kind of debatable. But I think the longer the game goes on, the more likely that a 1 toughness creature gets blanked, because a lot of people do bring in things that, ping for 1 damage. So if it gets like any points of damage in, then I'm fairly happy. Whereas Cohort, while it's definitely going to be able to attack every turn in this game. Okay, so they seem to be searching for a 3rd land. They almost certainly don't have a red source, because otherwise they would have played one. last turn. But Preordain's likely to hit. Should probably open chat to find out what they got. Oh, is it Boilerworks? That's not what we wanted at all. And he topped both? Jeez, how unlucky. Just kidding, of course. It's totally reasonable for them to have such a thing. It's also possible they didn't play it last turn just because they did. Like, even if Hydroblast their only spell, returning their only island means that they don't get to play it, so. Well, we saw in an earlier game what it's like when you draw a second land and your hand suddenly seems great. This game obviously is the complete opposite. We aren't drawing second land and we're looking quite sketchy. That Evoked Muldrifter makes me very happy though. Like, they're only, you know, 1 turn / 1 land away from just hard casting that. I'd much rather them play Divination than full Muldrifter. That does make me think that they might be Muldrifter flooded, or at least be ready to play Peregrine Drake into other things, so I'm going to leave up Pyroblast here. I think we would have been in a real bind if he didn't draw land that turn. So we're actually very lucky. Since if he had to... Because if he didn't play anything, then obviously we only attack for 1. So holding up Pyroblast wouldn't have really been a real option. I'm going to continue my plan of holding up Pyroblast. I can sort of feel an electricity in the air. But I guess it's not the biggest disaster thanks to these sliders. No? So this sort of implies that their hand is something like multiple Drakes, Muldrifter. So I can't possibly let this resolve. Alright. Do this. No Daze. Daze is very, very uncommon in the Drake decks. Not that I would rule it out completely. But yeah, it seems like they had a sort of clunky hand full of Drakes, and despite drawing a few cards, they didn't get there. Hooray! We have defeated the big bad.